that position of my landed senior Mr. Beef.
Mr. Ubeta.
Or Mr. Ubeta. Courts will only issue orders specifically prayed for. The law of such orders is not an affidavit. An affidavit is evidence. Notice the motion needs to test. Supported with the grounds under supporting affidavit. The law on miscellaneous applications is anchored on the civil procedures. It's nowhere in the criminal procedure code. Therefore, this document is incompetent for this purpose as a document to be presented with report for the purpose of seeking orders. Secondly, the matter before you is 075 is already determined. It can only be appealed against it cannot be made a subject of review now. When the timeline set by this court has elapsed. One will review sentence.
In 1 more minute, Mr. Umahiri, 1 more minute. Yes. 1 more minute. Yes.
Your Honor, one will only be allowed to review a sentence when it is running on, not when it is complete. The respondent was sentenced, if that is the right term, for 2 days. For 7 days, he has served. If they wanted to review that decision, it could be before the expiry of that time. Lastly, Your Honor, is that we completely object to such tactics by the state completely object to these tactics. I wouldn't want to talk about the content of it, but we vehemently object that let the respondent go home or a charge sheet to be produced before it. Mr. Soro has only one word. Your name, if I may.
Hold on. Yes.
The state has done out of ideas on how to punish the respondent. We came here. I am not getting that you can fight about this for hours and let me finish. Don't allow that kind of damage to be written.
Mr. Osoro. It is okay. That is noted, Mr. Osoro. Proceed.
Maybe Your Honor, then maybe let me first.
Yes.
The state is somebody shifting moves. Your Honor, the ruling that was led by the court on the 2nd of May, specifically order number 2, that this matter shall be mentioned on the 4th of May 2023 at 09:00 hours for the state to appraise the court on the status of the investigations and for further orders. The court never asked for further damages. The status report on the investigations. We expected to come with the attaching or tell us that this is what we've done or give us some evidence. If we even support their malicious application, we keep holding on the respondent. Such kind of documents, I want the Supreme Court hold here. It's full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. And this court has the powers to arrest such an injustice being perpetrated by the state. Your Honor.
Can I say yes?
Hold on, please. Mr. Mabon.
You have heard the objections and I feel they all have merit. Considering the time and the schedules and the need to move, I wanted to request and suggest, Your Honor, that you give us direction so that we proceed, so that Mr. Kipro, though he really has nothing to say, but can say all of it, so that we don't make application, ask you to make a ruling, to come back again, because our interest now is that Ezekiel should not be in custody any longer. The more we take you around, we end up keeping him long. I suggest that you direct in a manner that we proceed and finish up, and whatever, and you can even order the striking out of the affidavit, and Mr. Kipro to say what you want to say, we reply, and we finish.
With all due respect, we appreciate what the defense is saying. We hear their various statements. You have been invited to look at your ruling, which was delivered on 2nd of May 2023. And particularly, you have been referred to the last paragraph in the ruling, which says that this matter shall be mentioned on 4th of May 2023 at 0900 hours for the state to appraise the court on the status of the investigations and further orders. Your Honor, it is upon this subsection B of your ruling that we are before this court to appraise the court on the status of this investigation. And if there are any further orders that the court will grant, then we will make that application. I'm afraid that is what the learned senior Mr. Pro has started with. That is the first thing that in his submission he stated that the court had directed that we appraise it of the status of the investigations. That is when you invited us, invited the state and asked whether the application had been signed.
Okay.
So I would agree that we can take directions based on Mr. Magolo's submissions. However, before the court does that, I will invite the court to consider two issues. Mr. Umahiri raised the question on the matters of civil procedure. This court is guided by the Criminal Procedure Code. And in any event, if the Criminal Procedure Code has not given express provisions on how this court is to be moved, which we are going to rely on, see where we were. One of the orders was we be at liberty to apply for any appropriate orders, which we are currently doing. Then the court is also invited to look at the Constitution, where the Criminal Procedure Code is silent on the way we are to move court. Under Article 159, Your Honor, if I may read Article 159, which I'm sure the defense counsels are well aware of.
Sabbatical?
159, sub-article 2D. That justice, judicial authority is derived from the people and vests in the people by the courts and tribunals established under this constitution. In exercising this authority, the courts and the tribunals shall be guided by the following principles. Now that moves me to sub-article D. That justice shall be administered without undue regard to procedural technicalities. Now, if the Criminal Procedure Code, which is the basis upon which we come to this court and has the procedures by which we are supposed to move this court, is silent on how we are to move this court, then I invite the court to refer to Article 159, which is the supreme law of the land. And basic law tells us that any other law which is inconsistent with it is permanent directed consistency. So, even as I rest,
1 more minute.
even as I sit down, Your Honor, I invite the court to look at that provision in light of the submissions by the defense counsel.